Part 12. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Xuanhuan Pian Hai. Chapter 111. After Yeshi stuffed the pure gold Garuda statue inside. After clapping his hands, the crystal ball in his hands mysteriously disappeared. He looked back at the ancient Garuda temple in front of him. The reason why this ancient temple is called an ancient temple is because it is very ancient. Literally. There is a very rotten, old, and even rotten smell coming from inside. But just looking at it from the outside, it's like an ordinary temple that has been crumbling due to wind and frost. Yeshi held the Kingian sword in his hand. The vigilance in the whole body has been raised to the highest level. He maintained his current state and did not forget to explain. I can feel that the aura coming from this Garuda Buddhism is very strange. I even feel like there's a big demon trapped inside now. It's true, it seems that it is recorded in many ancient books that big demons are suppressed inside or below Buddhist temples. Yeshi thought for a while. He stretched out his hand to summon a fire spirit. The blazing fire can even ignite the air. Crackling. Yeshi stopped at the door and thought for a moment, then directly threw the fire spirit in his hand. Throw it in. The monster that breeds in the Buddhist temple has no pupils and shrinks suddenly. Netizens who watched the live broadcast were even more stunned when they saw this kind of showmanship. Naiubi, I thought Brother Ye would go in with a sword and kill everyone, but I didn't expect it to be a soldier that subjugates others without fighting. Laughing, do you understand, this is a counter-routine. And when the fire spirit was thrown in, Yeshi stood outside and waited for a while, and sure enough he heard the roar of the monster. There were also some cries of pain. Just when Yeshi was thinking about throwing a few more fire spirits in, the monsters in the Garuda Buddhist temple became anxious. Yeshi just pondered for a moment. I saw a pair of wings with eyes suddenly fanning out from it. It will fall on Yeshi. At the same time, these blood-colored eyes stared at Yeshi roundly, with malice that could not be concealed at all. Ah! A netizen who was watching the live broadcast was hit hard at the first glimpse. Yeshi could also feel that the eyes of this monster seemed to be able to interfere with people's spirit. But it was still the same feeling as before when I stood in front of the ancient god in evil Luhe city. Yeshi could detect an inexplicable mental wave coming towards him. However, this kind of low-end energy cannot get close to you at all. You can only wander outside the door. At the same time, Yeshi held the Kingian sword in his hand. Create a brilliant skylight. As if on Mars, the sea water pouring in from all over the sky. Full of overwhelming and irresistible trends. The sword light was even more majestic and fierce, with the immeasurable power of water and the destruction of water. A sword fell. All the eyes on the monster's wings fell down one after another. Just hearing a scream, the monster inside wanted to retract its wings. But a piece of it was cut off and fell to the ground. Thick, weird, fishy black blood was spilled on the ground. What was even more unacceptable was that those individual eyeballs were round and rolling on the ground, and they were trying to get close to Yeshi. Yeshi couldn't bear it. Just use the fire to burn these things completely. Now the people watching the live broadcast breathed a sigh of relief. Oh my god, it's really scary. The exploration is very good, there is no need to explore the secret next time. My screams are heard everywhere in Blue Star. I testify for the person upstairs, the whole building opposite me heard it. These monsters are so scary, why can't they get past the eyeballs? Right, Nagaru is not a big-eyed monster either. Yeshi held the fire essence in one hand. Another one was thrown in. Just explained. The monsters in the Garuda Buddhist temple seem to have been nourished after the defeat of the Garuda rebellion. After a long time, it became extremely strange, just like a demon. But why I have so many eyes, I still don't know. If you want to know, I'm afraid you have to go in and take a look. When Yeshi said the last sentence, He frowned. He is not very afraid of any monsters. He is quite self-aware and knows that no matter how good the monster is, there is no monster like himself. But the thing in the temple in front of me is not a question of whether it is a monster or not, but it is disgusting. Yes, she really didn't want to fight with Big Eyeball. But I reluctantly gave myself a mental boost. He stepped in very bravely. But beforehand, I threw 3 fire spirits into it. This time there were 5 in total. It is precisely because of this that the temperature in the ancient temple is very high. And very bright. However, what is puzzling is that, under such bright light, not even a single monster was seen. It was as if the fire spirit had burned all these monsters clean. Many people breathed a sigh of relief. I said that after throwing so many fire spirits in, even the monsters in the real cave should be burned out, and now it seems that is indeed the case. Fortunately, this is the case, otherwise I would have quit the live broadcast room. I really can't bear it, I have goosebumps, it's so scary. Who said it wasn't, but it's fine. I want to see the difference between the temple on Mars and the temple on our blue star. Inside the Garuda temple, 5 fire spirits were suspended in the air, and the sound of thunder and lightning seemed to be burning the air. The color of the live broadcast room seemed to have changed, and the temperature was so high that it was unknown. Yes, she looked at the empty Buddhist temple. But instead of feeling relieved, he held the Kingian sword in his hand even tighter. He knew without seeing it. There must be a lot of rejoicing in the live broadcast room now. So, he kindly reminded. Be prepared, don't relax too much, be careful of a close-up kill or a turnaround kill later. The protagonist of a horror movie asked the audience to be mentally prepared. Right, what a big heart, it has to be my brother yet. Yeshen, the most professional live broadcast in the universe. Fast forward to, Mom, I want to go home. To be honest, it's a pity that I can't see the above picture, but I should be able to hear the ghosts and wolves howling of many netizens. Haha, I'm ready. After Yeshi reminded. He didn't care about the live broadcast room. He didn't put away the fire spirit, but continued to hang in the air. As for himself, he paced in the ancient temple. In front of him was the statue of Garuda. On the other 2 sides were other Buddhas. At first glance, it was very normal. But when he looked at it a few more times, not only Yeshi felt it was abnormal, but also the people watching the live broadcast. Is there any master who can tell me if there is something wrong with the Buddha statue in this temple? Whispering, it feels full of evil spirit. Yeshi was checking other Buddha statues in the temple. When he turned his back to the Garuda Buddha statue, the Buddha statue behind him suddenly moved. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Wo Yi Pian Hai. Chapter 112. When the Garuda Buddha statue moves. Netizens who were watching the live broadcast closely felt their hearts tightening. A kind of worry arose spontaneously. Of course, this worry is not for Yeshi, but for themselves. He was afraid that he would be killed by being slapped in the face, and then he would suddenly have a heart attack and play mahjong with Fanwuju and the others. Yeshi naturally felt the fluctuation behind him. But he didn't turn around immediately. Seeing this, the Nagaro Buddha statue showed a smile on its face, but it did not look very solemn. Instead, it had an indescribable evil intention. The Buddha statue changed, as if it suddenly expanded. Just like the 3 heads and 6 arms in the record. It's just that these heads and arms are not like arms that can exist in the normal world. If I could describe it in one word, it would be very thulhu. Maybe it's because I've been on Mars for tens of thousands of years. There is no need to meet anyone, so it's strange how long it is. Netizens watching the live broadcast were very surprised. Why didn't Yeshi feel anything at all? Just when some people were hesitating whether they should express condolences. 6 long arms filled with eyeballs among the fleshy folds had reached to Yeshi's head. Seeing the disgusting, viscous green liquid dripping down, Yeshi still looked clueless. Netizens who were originally relatively calm suddenly became anxious. "Damn it, you're not going to fall into disgrace here, right? Then I won't worry for now. I still remember the last time I was worried about Lao Ye, he slapped me in the face. Worrying about this pervert is better than worrying about myself. What you say makes so much sense, so let's watch the show." Kicking the door frame, "It's really flattering to your own face. It's like you have experienced times when you weren't watching a play. Yeshen is so wise, mighty, unparalleled, and so handsome. Do you still need to worry about him? Get out of the way." 1,000 miles away, we haven't seen each other for a few minutes, Brother Menzang's licking skills are getting better and better. Yeshi could indeed feel that someone was causing trouble behind him. If he doesn't look back, he doesn't need to look back. I saw that when the tentacle was getting closer to Yeshi. A sky blue divine sword came out of the air. The infinite sword intent was transformed, and the cold sword light shot out, directly cutting off both arms. Yeshi didn't even look back. Still looking at other Buddha statues. "Yeshen, I won't look back, so naturally I don't need to look back. Handsome, so handsome. It seems that Brother Menzhang knows Lao Ye best, otherwise the person who knows him best is his enemy, dog head. What a pitiful old monster. He didn't appear in front of Brother Ye at all, but his 2 claws were split open. By the way, where did this sword come from? The divine consciousness is 1,000 miles away and the sword is wielded, right? What is the legend of Xuanhuan? Although both hands were cut off. But the monster transformed from the Garuda Buddha statue did not retreat. Instead, he let out a sharp cry, very harsh. It penetrated the entire temple at once, covering a radius of hundreds of miles. The other Buddha statues in front of Yeshi seemed to have been awakened. Their expressions became more and more vivid, fierce light overflowed, and malice poured out. Their eyes are very. The voice or the mental attack turned into reality. Everyone could see that the scene in the ancient temple suddenly changed. It was as if a big hole was opened on the ground and in the sky at the same time, and countless evil spirits crawled out of the big hole. Their bodies were dark, their eyes were scarlet, and they were lying on the ground with 4 hands, staring at the leaves as if they were staring at very delicious food. However, at this time, all the other Buddha statues in those temples seemed to disappear at once, which was very confusing. Oops, do Martians also grow giant taro? Please be respectful and call people by their scientific names. They are called Amorphophallus konjac. Jinmobe, probably not. The feeling now is that the Buddhist temple has turned into a devil's cave. Could this be the hell under the Buddhist temple? Yeshi felt the changes around him, but didn't take it seriously. I just stretched out my hand to hold the Kingian sword, and felt the gentleness of water in my hand. But when the sword energy suddenly rose, this divine sword did not feel as good as in Yeshi's hand. The divine sword has infinite ocean power. The one who holds the sword is the Lord of Waters. He can summon all the infinite ocean water and flood a world. Although it is not yet to that extent at this time. But the sword light in Yeshi's hand flashed across, the sword energy shone in all directions, and the source water was drawn by the divine sword from nowhere. Directly wash away these evil spirits. Yeshi solved the matter in front of him without any effort. Cut open this mental illusion. Yeshi heard a piercing scream. The moves in the sword sutra passed through the air, and countless green blood flowed out and fell to the ground. The Garuda Buddha statue, which was several meters high and had 3 heads and 6 arms, was split into 2 halves and fell to the ground. Yeshi raised his eyes and glanced at the other Buddha statues in the temple very leisurely. But I saw that every one of them was solemn, mighty, and upright. Looking at Yeshi, his eyes were also full of gentleness and kindness. It's still the familiar lifting of weights and the familiar strolling in the courtyard. I instantly thought of those novels about the return of the immortal emperor. Yeshi, the immortal emperor has returned, and I will make money when my strength recovers. Each person will have the position of a general in the heaven, right? Others say this is a joke, but Yeshen is not sure who is the joke, but 80% of the clown is you. Yeshi saw that this attitude was completely different. The Buddha statues are almost completely different. I really couldn't help but sigh. Sure enough, everyone bullies the weak and fears the strong. This is still the case from Blue Star to Mars. The young man's clear voice rang out in the live broadcast room. And with a lot of joking. Can anyone do a before and after comparison of these Buddha statues? Now they can actually show me personally what it means to be arrogant in front and respectful in the rear. Sichuan opera can't change faces as fast as these things. That's all he said. But I really didn't expect that someone would post a comparison picture for him and even do a close-up. As a result, the popularity of related hot searches increased rapidly. Many people laughed mercilessly, why don't I save people who don't have AK Gatling? But it would be fine if Yeshi joked a few words. Finally, I started to popularize science seriously. Actually, this Buddhist temple in Garuda is no longer a Buddhist temple. Everyone should have heard that different demons are suppressed under different Buddhist temples. In fact, the same is true here in Garuda. Because of the death of Garuda and the disappearance of the Martian civilization, these Buddha statues were no longer suppressed, so over a long period of time, they have turned into monsters that are no different from demons. I'm thinking about whether to destroy this place directly, or whether to dig open the base of this temple to see what kind of monsters are suppressed underneath. When these words were spoken, the corners of many people's eyes twitched. Many Buddhists watching the live broadcast shouted sin, sin, sin several times. But I didn't say anything more. And it seems that because of Yeshi's words. This angered other demons in the temple. It can be seen with the naked eye. All the Buddha statues underwent a transformation and slid towards the indescribable monster. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Xuanhuan Pian Hai. Chapter 113. Yeshi was too lazy to care about the rebellious Buddha statue here. He did not selectively forget the system's reminder to keep alert at all times to avoid falling into the abyss. I have always kept my spirits up, for fear of overturning my car in the gutter. But I never expected that the monsters inside would be so vulnerable. Fortunately, he was still in high spirits. Therefore, Yeshi felt that the monster in the Buddhist temple was not something he should pay attention to. What you should really pay attention to is actually. Yeshi flew up with his sword, trying to break open the temple roof in front of him. Then, the entire Buddhist temple suddenly moved, like a living creature, which was extremely scary. Because the Buddhist temple started to move like a living thing, everything inside started to shake. Only Yeshi was still standing in mid-air, undisturbed by the movement on the ground. He didn't stop his actions because of this. Instead, he directly split the roof in front of him with a sword, and then collected the fire spirit inside. Hiss, tear, pull. The earth trembled and the mountains shook. The volcano suddenly began to erupt, and lava in the distance fell one after another. The ground was covered with hot lava. Because it caused so much commotion in other places. Yeshi also couldn't understand. Then everyone at the scene and not at the scene saw a once-in-a-lifetime scene. That is, this Garuda Buddha temple on Mars. It, with long legs, ran away. Yeshi was originally planning to split open the ancient temple with his sword to see what was weird. But when I rushed out, I saw the Buddhist temple and ran away. This is really. Yeshi was stunned. The audience was also dumbfounded, and some people continued to praise them. Kicking the doorframe, this is the top tactic in the world, to defeat the enemy without fighting, he is worthy of Yeshen. Mortals like us are simply incomparable. Blanching, goosebumps are rising, I can't stand it anymore. Originally, this scene was so funny that I swallowed 3 cows in one bite, but now I just want to cook the licking dog upstairs. It's so funny, I burst out laughing. The last time I laughed so heartily was the last time I found that going to Mars is really much more fun. This time it's really more fun to go to outer space. Blue Star can no longer limit your performance, so we can only go to Mars to survive. It's really an anecdote from the world. Although the long-legged trees are a bit strange, they are still within the scope of my fantasy world, but this parkour house is a bit too much. I originally thought that there was a typo upstairs, and the word running was parkour, but when I took a closer look, it was true, this house was indeed parkour. Yeshi fell down helplessly, looking at the camera with an innocent expression. Am I that scary? In terms of appearance, the monsters there are probably even more ugly. Parkour in the Martian Buddhist temple, different races, refuse to compare. Forget it, it makes me look like the big devil. Obviously I'm just an ordinary explorer. But since this house is gone, it's a good time for us to take a look at what's underneath. The leaves fell down. Then I saw a big pit left by the Buddhist temple. There is nothing in the big pit. There was no abyss as Yeshi guessed, which made him a little strange. So he began to think about whether it was something the system reminded him to pay attention to. It's this big house with long legs. However, when he fell down and took a closer look, I discovered something wasn't quite right. Because we have to dig the soil. So Yeshi took out the bronze Xianlong sword, and then dug a few times in the pit underground. Immediately afterwards, something appeared in front of Yeshi. Is this the demon suppressed under the Garuda Buddha temple? Yeshi looked at the 9-story wooden tower and fell into deep thought. This 9-story wooden pagoda is not amazing in appearance, but it is a little bigger than an adult man's hand. But for such a big wooden tower, there are even many decayed places. A musty smell came from it, which made people feel a little uncomfortable. Yeshi cleared the soil next to the wooden tower. I even saw a few pieces of broken wood scattered in the pit. Judging from the traces, it should have fallen from the mountain of the wooden tower. Demon. But the demon suppression tower in Xuanhuan doesn't seem to look like this either. In such a small tower, could it be that ants are being suppressed in it? Kick the door frame, maybe the space inside is not that small. I have no imagination at all, what a waste. Go to the entrance of the village to pick up dung. Yeshi did not pick up the wooden pagoda directly. He is still very cautious in this regard. However, the system's reminder came belatedly. Ding, congratulations to the host for getting the 8 heat hells X1. Pick it up and no longer have to worry about living too long. The next second you will go to the underworld to play mahjong. 8 heat hells. In the 8 heat hells, all kinds of torture instruments such as copper and iron swords and firearms are used to punish sentient beings. For example, various punishment methods such as burning, cutting with knives, boiling in pots, iron hooks, tongue pulling, and intestinal piercing are used. Yeshi had never thought of picking up the wooden pagoda, but his face darkened after hearing these words. So rude. Can you speak more politely? Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining the 8 hot hells X1. Pick it up and you don't have to worry about living too long. You will go to the underworld to play mahjong in the next second. Yeshi. He chose not to continue talking at this time. He just used the Xuanhuan sword to dig the soil in it. When all the rotten wood around was taken out, he stood up and said to the camera, "This thing is indeed the thing suppressed in the Garuda temple. But it is still a bit different from the demons I imagined." Yeshi shook his head, his tone was very cautious. The 9-story wooden tower you see in front of you. It is the legendary hell. It's just different from the 18 layers of hell that are well known to the public. This is another kind of 8 hot hells recorded in ancient books that very few people know about. Huh, did I hear it wrong? I suddenly can't hear Chinese at this moment. I think this is a small version of the Xuanhuan Demon Suppression Tower, which is pretty good. What do you think? I agree with the above. Qinlibulixing, Yeshen, this is a bit too outrageous. I thought hell should be a world described in some novels, or a hell composed of countless worlds. How can it be a small tower the size of a palm? In addition, this small tower is still made of wood, and many places are rotten. I just zoomed in and saw some mold spots. Then other hells are also similar shapes. Impossible, I'm a little confused, Zhou, I can't stand it. I'll sing a different tune in a low voice. I think the Garuda in Buddhism is not worthy of suppressing a hell. Did you make a mistake, brother, yet? I also raised my hand weakly. It's not that we don't believe you, Yeshen, it's just that this thing is a bit too much. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Wo Yu Pian Hai. Chapter 114. Regarding Yeshi's statement, many people expressed extreme surprise and reluctance to believe it. However, more people are still half convinced. It refers to half believing Yeshi and half doubting himself. Yeshi raised his feet, took a few steps back, and said to the camera, "The wooden tower in front of you may not be the same as the hell many people imagine, but it is indeed hell. But I can't be sure of the specifics, because this is my first time seeing hell, and I don't have much more experience than you. But actually I don't really want to have experience." Yeshi laughed when he said this. "That's so true, I don't want to have this kind of experience either." After saying this, are people who have this kind of experience still human? So I didn't have any auditory hallucinations, nor did I fall into an illusion, and Lao Ye didn't say anything wrong. This wooden tower, which is rotten in many places before the wooden toy I carved, is hell? No wonder people run away, everyone is afraid of this. While these people were discussing passionately, Yeshi slowly walked out of the pit. After it stood up, it was covered with a layer of soil. I don't dare to touch this thing now. When other people come to Mars in the future, if they are still curious, maybe they can take a look at what is in this hell. Okay, now that we have seen the Buddhist temple here, we should go to the other side for a walk. It gave me a very strange feeling there. Yeshi pointed in one direction and said, "Because the distance between the two places is actually not very far." So Yeshi didn't look for his own means of transportation. When he walked to the place where the special energy fluctuated, many people can see a very special semicircular energy shield. It's just that there is something inside the energy shield that cannot be seen. Yeshi raised his eyebrows. Then he stretched out his hand, only to see his hand pass directly through the energy shield and enter the dome of life. I couldn't help but be a little surprised. It seems that aliens in different places have different energy shields. The energy shield here on Mars has no interception effect. Let me see if this is true only for life. Yeshi picked up a Martian stone from the ground. Then he put it on his hand, and saw that his hand could still pass through this transparent energy shield. Once you want to let the stone enter, it alone will be blocked outside. Netizens were in awe when they saw the stone that was ejected after hitting the energy shield. I personally feel that the technology here is much more advanced than that of the Nibiru people. You can clearly feel that the energy shield only has an invisible effect, but this can be filtered. Don't forget that the lava channels underground are not considered energy shields, but they can also detect the biological races entering them. My God, past civilizations and technologies were so brilliant, how come we have fallen to this level? I remember that some scientists speculated that Blue Star's civilization had been destroyed and reborn many times. Now it can be considered confirmed. Raises hand, Lao Ye, it's not a good idea to throw a hell on Mars. What if someone picks it up, or maybe someone with a blue star can really log into Mars and release the devil in hell? That's terrible. What unfounded worries, and if Lao Ye takes away the wooden pagoda, it will be very unsafe for him. There was a huge commotion on the barrage. But Yeshi only glanced at it twice and didn't continue to look at it. He is now mainly curious about the dome of life in front of him. Especially judging from the current screening mechanism of the life dome. There may be a great possibility that there is life in it. So he spoke and said, "You are quarreling, and I am thinking about whether there are other lives in this life dome. As for that hell, you really think highly of me and others. If you think it's okay to go down and play 3-person mahjong with black and white Vuchain, I don't mind you coming to Mars to take that thing away." Yeshi walked in after complaining. Before he entered, he had not actually explored the scope of the life dome. But also because it doesn't matter. Even if I am prepared in my heart. But Yeshi was still a little confused. "I saw the city wall, okay, I found another alien life, hurry up and drag it back and cook it. It's crazy upstairs, when people ask about the earth, you answer the sky. No, yes, I also saw the city wall, but it was different from what I imagined." Yeshi pondered for a while. "Actually, it's not the same as I imagined. I didn't expect that the aliens on Mars turned out to be Lilliputian. No, judging from this scale, the Buddhist temple is really incredibly big. At first I was wondering why there was only such a small room, but now it seems that my position is not correct." Yeshi lowered his eyes and looked at the square world and city walls below. "And like ants? No. It should be the little world of X108 that is smaller than an ant. The little man's world has become a mess. Because Yeshi's huge body standing there seemed to block the whole world. Countless buzzing sounds came from my ears. Although these little people are very small, their voices gathered together are extremely noisy." Yeshi hesitated whether to lift his feet. Fearing that he would destroy countless lives if he lifted his feet. Sin, sin, sin. Ding, congratulations to the host for increasing the exploration of the Mars Canal map by 2%, and now the overall progress is 18%. Life dome, I didn't expect that the life on Mars would look like this, right? Surprise is right. Garuda is not a native life on Mars, and those frost giants are not either. The real natives are these people. Please respectfully call them Martians. Unnecessary rewards, enlarge and reduce potions x10. Enlarge potion x5, reduce potion x5, there are labels on the potions, don't read them wrongly. Yeshi. The barrage in the live broadcast room has long been a roar of surprise. Yeshi rubbed his eyebrows and said, "I really didn't. I thought, the life inside the dome of life is actually like this. It's strange, the giants outside are so ridiculously big, tens or hundreds of meters high, and here. It's hard to imagine what Mars looked like before." Yeshi rubbed his face. "What do you think?" After asking this question, he added, "The little people below are the indigenous inhabitants of Mars, that is, the real aliens you have been thinking about seeing. How about it, are you surprised or not?" "Surprised, it's right, it's right. I'm also surprised, I'm also surprised." Yeshi was still talking nonsense here. The hot search over there started to explode. Hashtag Lilliput country appeared on Mars. Hashtag the world in the fairy tale appeared. Hashtag giants on Mars. Hashtag. Yeshi said a few words casually, and saw the barrage full of complaints. "Ha, indigenous inhabitants, these little people are natives, right? I am really enlightened today. Thank you for bringing us into the fairy tale world. Pain mask, I can't imagine why giants and villains are in the same world. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond." Author, Wo Yi Pian Hai. Chapter 115. Yeshi still stood motionless. When I was about to chat for a while and considering whether to drink the shrinking potion, things have changed. Literally heaven. That is to say, the dome of life began to change. The Lilliputian country was originally very panicked because of Yeshi's appearance. This time he became even more nervous. Yeshi looked up at the changes in the dome and remembered the system reminder. Within this range, any life can survive in it without having to adapt to the environment of Mars. However, as time goes by, the range of the dome becomes narrower and gradually disappears. It seems that the changes taking place now corroborate the system's reminder. When I walked on Mars, I could feel that most of the air was carbon dioxide, and there was almost no oxygen. Anyway, ordinary blue star people have no way to survive on Mars without wearing professional equipment. Please remove the word general. A more accurate statement is anyway, blue star people XXXXX survived on Mars. I have finally waited for this moment, mighty heavenly dragon. I can tell at a glance that you are not a human being, so quickly reveal your true form. Yeshen, I don't think your words should be so subtle and euphemistic. No one on Blue Star can do that except you. Yeshi shrugged and continued. I really didn't feel the presence of oxygen when I was outside. But as soon as you enter here, you can notice that the oxygen content is much stronger than that outside. Strange, if you look at it from this perspective, it means that a long time ago, Mars actually had oxygen, forests, and seas like the Earth. Tisk, this destruction is even more complete than that of Dax's Who. Originally I thought that only Blue Star encountered a danger that could wipe out the world 30,000 years ago. Now it seems that Mars is no different. Is it an indiscriminate blow? After Yeshi said this, he shook his head. Looking at the Lilliputian country underground. Now it seems that these Martians fell into panic because of the shrinking of the dome of life. Based on my observations and experience, this dome of life should be constantly shrinking. After many years, it shrunk down to what we see. I dare you to say that their panic has nothing to do with you, right? How can you shirk responsibility like this? What is your experience? Tell me about it. When did Lao Ye have experience? Every time I see Brother Yes serious nonsense, I laugh to death. At first, I was stunned for a while, but then I understood that it was deliberately competing with the panda for the bamboo shoots harm us. Yeshi didn't want the observation target he finally saw to die like this. Although he doesn't know what energy this energy shield requires. But one thing is that he is a man with the Kunlun sacred tree. After such a period of time, I am afraid that the Kunlun sacred tree has grown gratifyingly again. So Yeshi opened a corner of his dream family. We even drove to the side of the Kunlun sacred tree. A startling glance. Countless villains seem to have seen the legendary heaven in an instant. There are also sacred trees that support countless worlds. The sacred tree supports their world. Prevent the dome of the world from collapsing. What did I see? Little leaf, the legs of the tree are exposed. I knew you were not a human being. I didn't expect it to be a tree. This tree is so big. What a big tree. Kicks the door. What are the two illiterate people upstairs? It has lowered the average academic level of our Yeshen live broadcast room. Yeshi didn't know which energy maintained the dome of life. But after seeing that the dome was no longer shrinking, he withdrew his passage. It seemed that it was because of Yeshi's actions. The world fell into tranquility, and even the fear of world collapse disappeared. They regarded Yeshi as a god. It's just because Yeshi is really too big. And I can't see clearly. So the statues of life they carved tended to be ambiguous. Okay, let's just make this place stable. I don't want to let this precious opportunity to explore disappear here before I've seen anything. Everyone, get ready. Next is the moment to witness the miracle. Yeshi grinned brightly. But in the eyes of people watching the live broadcast, this expression was very scary. Just in the blink of an eye. Everyone was shocked to find that Yeshi was missing. Surprise, I know every surprise is a shock, Bushi. Where are the people? The good guy ran away again, right? I am God. Family members, is there a possibility? Of course, it is just a possibility, that is, Lao Ye has become smaller. Alegyo, let me clarify here, this is not a rumor. Yashi had already drank the shrinking potion. He also designated it and shrunk it to the size of the little person in the Lilliputian kingdom in front of him. Therefore, everyone cannot see him. But soon, the camera found him again. Nothing has changed, except the immediate surroundings. It was only after I became so small that I realized that the dome of life that I had always despised for being too small turned out not to be small at all. In their cognition, they may think that Mars is endless. So do I now. Beside Yashi, there is yellow sand everywhere. At this moment, it is as if he has returned to the desert. In addition to the yellow sand, there is also a large lava river that looks like a flowing red river. If Yashi was in his original size, he would not be able to notice the things left in the sand at all. But after shrinking 100 times, this feeling becomes particularly prominent. In addition, Yashi can also feel a very subtle special energy in the air, which is 100, 1,000, and 10,000 times smaller than his current body. This energy was previously submerged in other energies, and ordinary people could not detect it at all. However, when it becomes smaller, he can notice this energy very keenly, and even capture it. After becoming smaller, I feel like I've come to another world. It's so interesting. I think it's interesting too, I want to play too. I've been dreaming about what it would be like if I became smaller since I was very young. I'm looking forward to what the world of Lilliput looks like. It must be very interesting, maybe I can learn some history about Mars from it. Ha 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 ha, when the camera was moving down just now, it felt so small, so cute. It's so small, so cute, and I can punch you one by one, right? Yashi moved casually. After not feeling anything wrong, he looked at the camera and said, "Next, let's explore the Lilliput from Mars. This is much more interesting than the thousands of lonely Nibiru aliens before. This is a brand new civilization, a complete civilization system. Perhaps we can see many things that we have never thought of, never seen, or even imagined to exist. To look forward to the entire sea of stars." When old Ye said this, I felt that my exploration cells were burning. It's burning, I'm so excited now that I can run naked around the blue planet for 3 weeks. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Xuanhuan Hai. Chapter 116. Although Yashi said so. However, I don't have much hope for the Martian civilization in front of me. It's just that I think this Lilliputian country is more interesting. I don't know how big this desert-like place is, but after Yashi accelerated his speed, still left the desert quickly. At first glance, there is nothing special about the world here. It just seems that because the body has become smaller, a kind of energy that was originally very subtle has become prominent. Yashi stretched out his hand. After clicking in the air, I saw a ball of green energy being pulled out. Appeared in front of everyone. Look, everyone, it's this kind of energy. Because the body has become smaller, this weak energy suddenly becomes as conspicuous as a firefly in the wild. But maybe it's because I'm a blue star person and these Martians are Martians, so I don't feel anything special about this energy for the time being. Listening to your words is better than listening to your words. Understood. I was originally wondering why the original Martians were so small. It seems to have something to do with this special energy, right? Wow, is it possible to practice? It turns out that being small still has advantages. Yashi nodded. But to have a deeper understanding of this energy, we still need to go to the civilization to have a look. He looked at some sparse things like trees and grass. After folding a few pieces and observing them carefully, he shook his head. It's not the plant on Blue Star, it's just that the appearance is somewhat similar. And the other party does not grow through photosynthesis, that is, oxygen, but this special energy. It's really getting more and more interesting. The cornerstone of this civilization should be this little-known special energy. There's a green river over there. Yashi raised his eyebrows and walked forward quickly. Standing on the shore, people are confused. He seemed just a little above the void. Let everyone see what the water in this river looks like. Ah, this wave, pixel-style games have come true, right? Mars Lilliput, also known as Mars world. The tree is fine, but the river water is really irresistible. It's a perfect mosaic style. Yashi touched his chin and fell into deep thought. He also saw the discussions of other people in the live broadcast room, and finally said, "Originally, I was worried about the appearance of these Martians. Are they also mosaic villains? But when I saw your discussion, I realized that you had misunderstood something. This river is a collection of energy. Just because the energy looks like blocks, it stacks up like a mosaic, but..." Yashi suddenly got stuck and felt that his explanation was equivalent to no explanation. "Sure enough," the barrage said. "Isn't that just a mosaic? It sounds so elegant and refined." Yashi also called them whatever they wanted. When he entered the Dome of Life, I saw many very square city walls, but after walking for so long, I still haven't encountered any man-made objects. He couldn't help but speed up his pace. It's also fate. After Yashi thought this way. Less than 10 minutes after walking forward, a special and strange sound came to my ears. Come, come, the villain I have been waiting for so long is finally going to reveal the true face of Lushan. Although this language is different from any previous language, due to the translation function of the live broadcast room. So many people understood what this meant. I fell into deep thought. I seemed to be familiar with every sound, but when added together, it becomes Gilagula Gilagula Gilagula. Golden Mouse, the gap between different civilizations is so great that even basic communication is impossible. Yashi walked over to take a look. Only then did they discover that these people were actually using a stored instrument to slowly pour out special energy. Then it grows on the ground, either into trees or into jungles. So this is how the forest here grew. Looking at it this way, the technology tree lit by the civilization should be completely different from our Blue Star. They should be on the biotech side. Yashi said this, which aroused the curiosity of the Blue Star people even more. The technology tree is askew, right? Is there a possibility that our technology tree is crooked? Yashi did not appear in front of these Martians. To put it bluntly, he is just a tourist who comes to take a look around. Brother, aren't you going to communicate with them? Yashi originally watched them building the forest and was about to leave. Saw this barrage. So he explained casually. I really don't intend to communicate. I just want to observe the civilization from the perspective of an observer. Sometimes you just need to look, there is no need to understand deeply, distance creates beauty. Can this also be said that distance creates beauty? After recording some of their processes of using special energy to construct living creatures, Yashi continued to walk inside. Along the way, Yashi also met many different Martians, but none of them were interested in talking. After getting close to the city wall, Yashi looked like he had expected it. Sure enough, they really lit up biotechnology. This city is alive. Of course, it's not living in the sense we understand, but the biocomposite materials used. It is filled with an active molecule, giving the city wall the ability to repair freely. But these should be the technologies that are lit up by that special energy. This energy is equivalent to the energy on a blue star. If this energy is lost, civilization will go back to the original point. In fact, we also have concerns about this aspect of our electricity supply. Aleguo, For science and technology, energy and materials are the most important, and now because of this special energy, the energy and material problems of Martians have been directly solved, not to mention that only villains can feel this energy. It's so special, I'm so scared that I'm so special. Then our blue star? Don't dare to say anything. I see your questions. Actually, don't be surprised. These Martians are a divine civilization. What I mean by divinity is that there are really gods in the world where they exist. It can be those giants, it can be Garuda, or it can be heaven. So there is no need to make a fuss about this special Martian energy. After Yeshi said this, he came to the edge of the city wall. When the camera is zoomed in, you can clearly see that the biological fibers are squirming all the time. Not very scary. If someone observes the changes in muscles under a microscope, it is actually similar to this. Because in the live broadcast room, various biological experts are like 8 immortals crossing the sea, each showing his magical powers. Many people began to popularize the technology contained in it. Because I walked into a Martian city. So Yeshi was going to see if there were any relevant books here first. Look at the quality of civilization in it. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Xuanhuan Hai. Chapter 117. Not too long after. Anyway, the people in the live broadcast room also followed Yeshi to read the Martian text. Some people jokingly said that if they had had this motivation to study during the college entrance examination, they would have. They can choose any of the various colleges and universities at will. But after briefly reading the history of Martians, as expected, this is indeed a civilization that sees miracles from time to time. Therefore, many corresponding religions were born. But what surprised Yeshi was that the lifespan of these Martians is like the lifespan of a worm that does not know the age of a worm and a cricket that does not know the spring and autumn. Very short. If it were replaced by the time of Blue Star, the lifespan of a Martian would only be 1 year. After knowing the news, many Blue Star people lamented, while others said, I originally thought that human life was short enough, but I didn't expect that it would be even shorter. The things recorded here are scattered, but it can also be seen that in Mars in the past, their territory was very large. And their view of the universe is also very complete. Although they have never left Mars, they know that the world is infinite, not just the earth under their feet. In their minds, all gods look like giants, and their strength is judged by their size. What they believe in is actually the system of gods. Unfortunately, at one point in time, these gods suddenly disappeared completely, leaving only the Martians. At this point in time, it doesn't take long on Blue Star. Not even 500 years have come. That means Mars was still a very active planet 500 years ago. When Yeshi said this, he shook his head in disbelief. 500 years, from 30,000 years to 500 years, this time is too close, I am confused. 500 years to complete the great changes in the world, right? If we follow the history of Mars, will it be a war between gods? After all, we also saw the God War, big mistake. Yeshi shook his head. This possibility is not impossible, but looking at it from now on, it is impossible to understand the history of Mars from this. I'll go to other cities to see if I can get any news. So Yeshi walked around casually and saw many different customs. Although because I have become a villain, I don't have the fun of visiting the Lilliputian kingdom in fairy tales. But I saw a lot of local customs. After finishing all the last things to see, many people watched Yeshi leave the Dome of Life with unfinished thoughts. Although their technology has degraded a lot due to the departure of the gods, it still gave me a lot of inspiration, and I also have solutions to some problems in scientific research. Caught an ugly boss, trying to catch a fish, right? I wonder who in the world doesn't watch Yeshen's live broadcast. I don't know where I will go next. I rub my hands together. Is it possible to go to the country of adults? It's so embarrassing. What is the country of adults? Go to the kindergarten across from my house to study. The tuition is 18,000 yuan. Yes, she had walked a straight line from the dome of life. However, it was not deliberately changed to a normal proportion. So when I went out and looked back, I realized that I had just walked a few streets. The big octopus in Kraken in the distance is still lying on the spot obediently. Although the trip to Mars Lilliput was far from what I expected. But judging from the fact that there were still a large number of gods existing on Mars 500 years ago. Perhaps those ancient myths and legends are not just legends. I understand, so the heavenly killing star in water margin is the real heavenly killing star, right? Can you still understand it this way? Isn't Jiaobeiyu really the stone left by Noah to mend the sky? No, I can't accept it. Yes, she was speechless looking at these netizens being as funny as ever. But he shouted to the front, asking Kraken to come over. Then turn around. Good guy. This turn made 10.8 billion blue star people fall into silence. And yes, she got excited and immediately shouted in front of him. Red-haired brother, why are you here? A fellow villager bursts into tears when he sees a fellow villager. That's still a fellow who knows how to use a knife. I sat on the threshold and thought about it for 7 days and 7 nights. I couldn't figure out how the red-haired man ended up on Mars. Yang Xuanhuan, 5-color altar. The barrage exploded. And because of Yeshi's penetrating voice, the red-haired figure in the distance flashed. It disappeared quickly and I don't know where it went. I never expected that I would meet the red-haired brother here. It's like meeting an old friend in a foreign country. Red-haired monster, oh, are you sure? It seems that I am not as powerful as a red-haired one, and others can fly across the stars. I am staying at home playing games. Yes, she was originally planning to explore slowly. But I didn't expect to meet red hair. Therefore, all previous plans were scrapped. Now I just want to have a good chat and see what this brother is here for. It's too late to wait for Kraken. Yes, she walked directly with the sword. But what I never expected was that the red-haired brother could run so fast. It seems like a ghost, appearing from time to time and disappearing from time to time. Originally, netizens were just watching for fun. But the more they watched, the more they felt the atmosphere was getting gloomy. And there was an inexplicable great terror shrouding their hearts, making people start to be afraid from the bottom of their hearts. Even Yu Jian can't catch up. What is the background of this red-haired brother? I said that there can't be only Yeshen on Blue Star. With the resurrection of spiritual energy, there must be a lot of gods emerging. Look, this one is it. You call this a god? The red-haired monster's traces are erratic, and the red sand will make its figure more looming. After disappearing once, it suddenly held a coffin in its hands, and a rotten wooden tower. Which was shocking. Yeshi. Wait, where did you get the coffin from? Swallowing saliva, there is a hint of ridiculousness in the absurdity, a hint of fear in the ridiculousness, a hint of outrageousness in the fear, a hint of, in the outrageousness. Don't reveal it. This red-haired brother took hell away, Zhou. Yes, she was chasing and saw the other party holding the coffin and the wooden tower. His eyes almost popped out of his sockets. He was thinking that he might be a big shot, so should he stop chasing? The red-haired monster's trail suddenly stabilized, or slowed down. 5-color altar. It wants to cross the starry sky again. The people watching the live broadcast changed their faces. What, the red-haired monster is coming back. Zhou, the red-haired monster is coming back with hell. Back off, don't come back, we can't stand it here. The red-haired monster was standing on the 5-color altar. A ray of light that reached the sky lit up. In the universe, it seemed that an invisible ancient road in the starry sky was lit up. When he looked again, yes, she was the only one left on Mars. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Xuanhuan Pian Hai. Chapter 118. Although the ancient road in the starry sky lights up in the universe, Yashi didn't see it. But as if he felt something, he looked up at the starry sky and the Milky Way. Netizens who were originally surprised also followed Yeshi's gaze and looked outside the sky. "My mom, it's so beautiful. What kind of scene is this? Is this the scene of the five-color altar opening? What a splendid starry sky ancient road. I have been talking about this before, but I didn't expect to see it here." In a daze, I saw the back of the red-haired man. Did I see it wrong? Yeshi also saw the looming road in the universe paved like a sea of stars and a galaxy. However, this road only passed by in a flash and soon disappeared in front of everyone. He ran so fast. I originally wanted to have a good chat with him and ask where this big brother came from. However, this trip is considered worthwhile. I saw the ancient starry sky road opened by the five-color altar. But this time it seems to be different from what was opened on Blue Star. Blue Star seems to be directly teleported to another location based on the coordinates of the planet, so the starry sky ancient road is not opened, and now, is it planning to go all the way? Yeshi shook his head in confusion and continued. "I don't know where the red-haired brother has gone, and I have no ill intentions towards him." After saying that, he sighed. His tone was very regretful, and his expression was even more regretful. "This sounds inappropriate to me. I don't even believe it. How do you expect others to believe it?" He chased it and fled, and they all spread their wings and flew away. Although Yeshi did not catch up with the other party, he saw another five-color altar, which was considered a worthwhile trip. Just during this time, Kraken also successfully caught up. Yeshi didn't notice the other party. He boarded the five-color altar directly. From the appearance, this five-color altar is quite different from other altars. The main reason is that it is particularly solemn, and the base is very high. Still big. I'm afraid dozens of people can stand on the altar. However, there is no special difference in the materials. Yeshi walked around and left after seeing no other problems. Then naturally we continued to explore Mars. Just because the areas they go to are different. So Yeshi discovered. Now the air is getting hotter and hotter, it seems, because the area ahead is covered by volcanoes. Look, everyone, there are already a lot of magma rivers underground. Yeshi pointed to the lava beside his feet and said. Now you know why this is called Mars. Although part of the reason for this is that the entire Martian civilization has completely disappeared in the past few hundred years. But judging from the situation on Mars, the environment was also biased toward fire in the past. There are so many active volcanoes on this planet. I'm afraid there are countless active volcanoes erupting every second, which in turn affects the entire planet. Except for this factor, Mars is still very habitable. This wave is just legendary, ignoring the facts, right? Yeshi continued to walk forward. Right in front of us was an active volcano, which erupted with a roar. He stood there and allowed many people to take a very close look at the scene of the volcanic eruption. Although there is a lot of smoke and dust. However, with the black technology supported by the system, when the camera is live broadcast from a wide angle in the distance, a very complete volcanic eruption and its end were recorded in the live broadcast room. People can look back at this doomsday-like scene at any time. Faced with worldwide natural disasters, human beings are indeed as insignificant as a mayfly in the ocean. Especially after I felt the faint fluctuations of life energy in the volcano, this feeling became even stronger. Looking at it this way, maybe there are not only indigenous residents like Lilliputians on Mars, but there should also be creatures closely related to volcanoes. In this case, let's continue to take a look now. After Yeshi finished speaking, he walked closer under the lingering power of the volcano. Although the kraken is an undersea creature, the giant octopus is still at home above the magma. It's like returning to your own home. Wow, I guessed the beginning, but not the ending. Yeshi had already seen the creatures in the volcano, and his tone couldn't help but be amazed. And the system reminder in the ear also came. Ding, congratulations to the host. The exploration of the Mars Canal map has improved by 14%, and the overall progress is now 30%. Ding, congratulations to the host for unlocking the third puzzle piece of the Mars Canal. The reward is X1 large dinosaur sculpture, X10 dinosaur man, red Taisui, X100 fire spirit, 5 Do gold medal for birth, incomplete, and X2 fragments of the Mars Canal. Mars Canal illustrated book, volcanic life, dinosaur man, Midas turning stone into gold. Volcanic life, dinosaur man. You have seen a secret, but whether you can unlock this secret can only depend on whether you explore the secret completely. What does Mars mean, what does heaven represent, and why is the native life on Mars like this? Little, all these mysteries are waiting for you to unravel. Midas to gold, as you wish. This is a legendary spell that is permanently solidified in a place not far from you. Everything that touches that place will turn into gold, of course, including life, but don't worry, it can't transform your essence. Large dinosaur statue, yes, I can answer you. This has a lot to do with the dinosaurs you saw on Blue Star. Although they are not the same, they reach the same goal by different paths. Put it at home and you can continuously generate special ones. The energy crystallization is used to open the divine treasure. Hong Tai Sui, add a red letter because this is a spiritual creature that grows in flames and lava. It has the properties of fire and can be used to open special divine treasures. The Sutra of Receiving and Receiving the 5 Dojinjiang, incomplete. It is different from the previous incomplete part. It is another one. You can still choose the still complete techniques in it for practice. This is the true sutra left on Mars. Yeshi listened to the systematic reminders in his ears, while watching the little dinosaur crawling out of the flames. I didn't expect that the creatures in the volcano are also villains. Look, there's not much difference between these little dinosaurs and the people from Lilliput we saw before. If you use people's height to convert it, it should be the difference between 1.8 meters and 10 meters. Isn't this big? It seems that the world of Mars is really the world of villains. I was originally wondering what was in the volcano, but I didn't expect it to be villains again. No, more accurately, they call them dinosaur people. Brother Ye plans to continue to grow smaller now. Yeshi saw this barrage and shook his head. Not planning to. I have already experienced becoming smaller, so I don't plan to continue the experience. I'll just walk in. Just take a look to see if there is anything more surprising in front of you or in the volcano. It's too late, Brother Ye is going to jump into the volcano. Discussion: how did the rumor come about? Wait, this is not a rumor but a fact, so that's okay. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Wo Yi Pian Hai. Chapter 119. Yeshi was already paying attention to the problems under his feet. Just because of the different choices, this time there was no accidental damage like before in Lilliput. Just ordinary walking is like an earthquake to them. I don't know how many dinosaur people were panicked, and then looked at the giant Yeshi. Some of them actually knelt down and kowtowed to Yeshi. After switching different lenses and switching perspectives, the Blue Star people also saw clearly what happened. It was originally said that the Great Flood indexes who was to destroy you. What does it have to do with you? It is so similar to the current situation. Kicking the doorframe, it's completely different. It can't be compared like this, because Yeshen just didn't notice it the first time he kicked it, and then gathered his strength later. You see, these dinosaur people obviously died in their own panic down. I am Yunran, I would be scared if it were me from the perspective of a dinosaur. Yeshen is really too big, don't you think so? I feel like a god looking at ants. 1,000 miles away. Wake up, you and Lao Ye are both blue star people, so aren't you also a god? Although I'm as tall as him, I really can't walk into the interior of the volcano in such a dangerous situation, even if you kill me. Yeshi worked hard to control the energy fluctuations in his body. It should be said that basically nothing escaped, but for the panic of the dinosaur people. Yeshi still can only say that it's a good thing he didn't bring the big octopus, otherwise he would have scared these dinosaur people to death. Yeshi came all the way. Walking straight inside, the dinosaur man who was accidentally injured on the way could only say that he was surprised. Chat along the way and answer some questions raised by viewers watching the live broadcast. Judging from the appearance alone, I doubt that the dinosaurs here are close relatives of the dinosaurs on Blue Star. The appearance is so similar. The difference is that the dinosaurs here still have some traces of humans. They look like hybrids. I always feel that these indigenous people on Mars give me a weird smell, but I can't tell what it is. He said this just to see what netizens thought. As a result, it turned out that they were all a group of people making mischief there, and all kinds of random barrages came one after another. But there is no reliable one. Yeshi knew that these netizens were really useful when they were useful. But when you make a fool of yourself, you really make a fool of yourself. So Yeshi shook his head and continued walking forward. When I was about to walk under the volcano, I suddenly discovered something. Looking over there at this time. Suddenly his eyes narrowed. Look there is something golden. It looks interesting, let's go to that place and check it out. The dinosaur people underground are still worshipping there. Yeshi, on the other hand, speeded up, wanting to see if there was a wonder that turned stone into gold. As a result, we haven't reached the place yet. Yeshi decided that it was indeed. That's outrageous, a bunch of golden dinosaurs, right? I'm so sorry if you bring some top-notch art to Blue Star, it will definitely fetch a sky-high price at auction. How much are these things worth? Alegio, the scene in front of me looks a bit weird. Yeshi bent down and picked up a small golden dinosaur man from the ground. When the camera is zoomed in, you can see that it is full of all kinds of luster. And because real gold is not afraid of fire, there is not much loss. I only heard a young man's voice coming through the camera. I have seen a record in ancient books, saying that there is a very special place on Mars. That's the legendary Midas touch. It is said that this legendary spell is fixed to a place on Mars. And all people or objects that touch this thing will turn to gold. This is something that can only be found in TV series, movies, and novels. Originally, I thought that there were just casual remarks in that ancient book. Unexpectedly, I actually saw it here today. I'm just asking, forget it, I won't ask anymore. Old book, Yeshi, just tell me how much blame I have shouldered for you. Alegio, gold is a very useful industrial material, so what is the principle of turning stone into gold, distorting the properties of objects, convert elementary particles? Golden mouse, in fact, everything in the world is related to energy. It is likely that the energy related to gold was injected into your body through this magic that turns stone into gold, so you turned into gold. Yeshi put aside the little dinosaurs on the ground that had turned into golden people. Then he said, looking at the positions of these dinosaurs, you can see that turning into gold does not happen immediately. But there is a period of change. But why are there so many dinosaurs here? What did they want to do in the first place? Yeshi shook his head when he asked this question. But he continued to move forward. It didn't take long to walk forward. Yeshi saw the legendary thing that solidified the Midas into gold. That's a common thing for Blue Star people. Tai Chi. The Tai Chi in front of you is actually a stone that looks like Tai Chi. I don't know if it's purely natural or if it's sculpted. There's nothing surprising about it. At this time, we were not far from Taiki Stone, only a dozen meters away. Yashi searched around. Nothing was found that had not been turned into gold. Even the ground is a piece of red gold. Yebao, what are you looking for? Is it possible, I mean possible, that the magic of turning stone into gold has been activated? Lao Ye should be confident in his own strength. Look at him strolling in the garden. Don't worry about him. I get slapped in the face every time I worry about him. Please pay more attention to yourself in everything. Yashi felt a little embarrassed when he saw the content on the barrage. In fact, he did not notice that he had entered the range of turning stone into gold. But when I see others bragging about me so much, I feel embarrassed to let them down. I could only respond inexplicably. After thinking about it, he reached out and took out a fire essence. I saw only flames burning in the air. Then the fire spirit quickly turned into gold. The flame is still burning, but it has been lit into a golden color. It is extremely magnificent. Only nature can produce such a work of art. Yashi raised his eyebrows in surprise. I never thought that even flames could turn into gold. Look at it, I know that Yeshen must be immune to the magic that turns stones into gold. He is a god, there is only a wrong name, not a wrong nickname. Yashi thought for a while. He took out the bronze Xianlong sword again. Visible to the naked eye, the Xianlong sword is slowly turning into gold. And when Yashi took hold of it and dissipated the strange energy in it, the bronze sword returned to its previous appearance. Yashi suddenly realized. I understand. This is the principle of turning stone into gold. Exploring the world, starting from the discovery of the white bone dragon pond. Author, Wo Yi Pian Hai. Chapter 120. The last person who spoke half-heartedly is now dead. It took me a long time to understand this. Do you know how I came here in such a long time? You don't know, you don't feel sorry for me at all. Yashi actually felt that it didn't take long for people to wait. He put back the bronze sword in his hand and explained. Actually, it's the same as what some people guessed before. It is indeed by changing the basic particle composition of matter and then arranging and combining it. Of course, although what I said is a bit simple, it is actually not that easy. We do know this. A very light explanation, this is the legend that looks very easy to understand, but in fact the operation is 250, right? And I discovered something weird. The gold that turns stone into gold on the ground represents batches of different times. And the later the gold is formed, the farther away it is from the stone in front of it. In other words, this magic that turns stone into gold seems to be growing vigorously. Perhaps from the past, it needed to be touched to turn into gold, and now, when it reaches a certain range of the stone, it will turn into gold. If you guess this way, this place is equivalent to a continuous leek farm, which will continue to grow gold, and then when the time is right, these leeks will return to the hands of the farmer. Yashi took a few steps forward. As I walked, I was still talking about this stone that looked like a naturally formed Tai Chi pattern. After walking half a meter away, Yashi continued. But these are just simple guesses on my part, and they may not actually come true. Yashi glanced at the camera, pointed at the stone in front and said. But when I got here, I already felt that the things that would change the basic structure of objects were very active. Yashi casually took out another fire essence. In full view of the public. Everyone can see it, almost within a thousandth of a second of taking it out. The fire spirit quickly turned into a golden flame, more than 1,000 times faster than before. Did you see it? Now you understand what I meant when I said this before. Yashi stood on the Tai Chi stone with the magic of turning stones into gold. He clicked a few photos together, and then spoke with great interest. It feels like Mars is getting more and more interesting. If we keep going, we still don't know what surprising things we will discover. I just don't know what to do with so much gold, and how long it took to deploy this spell. Yeshi still couldn't find answers to these questions. Shook his head. Exited from the scope of turning stone into gold. Then continue walking forward. It's like completely entering the realm of volcanoes. The volcano erupted all over the sky as if it were free of charge, splashing on the ground and creating rivers of magma. And because the volcanoes here are so active and huge, therefore, the number of dinosaurs is also rising sharply. To Yeshi, they were densely packed like ants and mayflies. I made some observations while going forward. Yeshi sighed at the live broadcast room. You see, for these dinosaur people, it may be difficult for them to go to other volcanoes throughout their lives. To compare purely with the size of the body and the size of the planet, a volcano is a complete world for them. In the eyes of different people, the world is indeed completely different. From these little people, you can fully feel what it means to have one flower and one world, and one tree and one Bodhi. Yang Xuanhuan, from a microscopic perspective, Yuhua is not just a world but an infinite world of Saha in all directions. It is difficult to imagine that the wisdom of the ancients could still find the true meaning of the world in yesterday's time when technology was so underdeveloped. Aleguo, we have already found out the truth, what else do we need to care about? Jin Mobe, I don't know if the two big guys upstairs read the novel. There is a concept of stacking boxes in the novel. A cell or a basic particle may be an infinite universe, and then it is superimposed, and it is continuously superimposed to the macroscopic three-dimensional superposition can also be continued from 3 dimensions. Countless infinite universes are stacked together. Author who runs a martial arts school, who is cueing me? The boss made it very clear, but I don't understand it well due to my lack of qualifications. When Yeshi leaves, he will take time to look at the barrage. I nodded my head after seeing these related discussions. Yes, your statements are all correct. It is indeed like a world that is constantly superimposed, so it is called infinite. It seemed that he felt that what he said was a bit difficult, and the live broadcast room was full of barrage question marks, and he was asked to speak in human terms. Yeshi curled his lips and used a more popular explanation. This is actually equivalent to the practice and ascension in the novel, changing the map. Actually, in the cultivation of immortality, ascending to the upper realm, if you use a more scientific language to describe it, is to enhance your own dimension. The one-dimensional world is a straight line, the two-dimensional world is a plane, and the three-dimensional world is a three-dimensional space. Ascension to the upper realm means going from one dimension to 2 dimensions, or 2 dimensions to 3 dimensions, or like us, from 3 dimensions to 4 dimensions. This may be difficult for some people to understand. Forget it, no need to understand, just know that ascending dimension equals ascension. I really don't understand it very well, it's so complicated. My brain can no longer hold anything else except eating and drinking. Forget it, it's not important. Kinlibulixing, I can barely understand, VMe 50, I will explain it in a one-on-one private chat. IV, the upstairs private chat told me to get out, crying. The topic gradually turned to another aspect. Seeing this, Yeshi was also casual, just continued to walk inside. Just walked to the bottom of a big volcano. He thought for a while and said, "It just so happens that you haven't seen what the inside of a real volcano looks like. I'll climb up now and show you live." After saying that, a sky blue sword that vaguely revealed the meaning of water appeared at Yeshi's feet. He flew directly on the sword and slowly went to the inside of the volcano. Climb, you call this crawling? Okay, from today on, the word climbing has nothing to do with us ordinary people. From now on, you are not allowed to use the word climb when you are not climbing a volcano. Those who violate this rule will be dragged out and beheaded. From now on, if you use the word climb when you are not flying up a mountain with a sword, you will be treated as a traitor all the way. The Taoist priest said that I don't know any martial arts, I only know how to climb a mountain, and then he used a formula and flew away with the sword. Yeshi's sword slowly fell. He stood at the crater. There were two things in the volcano that were beyond his expectations. One was a densely packed fetal egg, soaked in the volcanic magma. The other was a very beautiful red Tai Sui. Dense fear, hurry up and call Mars emergency number for me, call Yeshen back to compensate me.